you and Heidi end up getting married. So you have 3 kids. How is it raising kids, obviously, that have a mother that's one race and you're another? And so how does that conversation go on, and how are they, and what do they identify as we had the first black president, but was half black, half white, but obviously everybody, whether he wanted or not, was identified as a black president.
Right.
How do your kids identify, and what were your conversations with them growing up?
That's a good question. I mean, talking to my children, they identify as black, and I think that's mainly because whatever was done now to whatever the dominant race is.
It's because their skin's darker.
Because skin's darker.
Yeah.
So they identify as black. But as people, and this can sound like a very cliche answer, we never really focused a lot on race. We just told our kids to be good people. Funny stories growing up. I remember Colin was in elementary school, and I don't know if he told a friend of his or someone else, he goes, "I'm black and I'm white. Therefore, I'm fast and slow." The only time that I can remember predominantly where race or culture came up was back in 2008. And for those of you who don't remember, that was during the presidential election time when Obama was running against McCain. And the girls came to me, and so that was 2008, so they must have been sophomores in high school, sophomores or juniors in high school. So they weren't ready to vote yet, but they were starting to think, the next election, we're going to be able to vote. And they came to me and said, "Dad, are we going to vote for Obama because he's black?" And I had to pause for a second, thinking, okay, wow, this is a teaching moment, because now we're discussing politics and things of that nature, and I don't want to steer my kids in one direction, but at the same time give them good advice. Right. And I said to them, "Honey," I said, "That's a good question." I said, here's the answer I'm going to give you. I said, "Dad voting for Obama because he's black is no different than Brian voting for McCain because he's white." I said, "Either way, it's racist." I said, "Here's what you want to do." I said, "Whether it's picking out a mate or picking someone to be your next leader, is find that person who has the same, whose beliefs and thoughts are in line with yours." I said, "That person may not be your race. They may not be your gender. But as far as picking the president, pick someone whose thoughts, beliefs, concepts are in line with yours." And I think they understood that. There really haven't been any other stories of the girls growing up, because they were dark, they were dark skinned and stuff. And we had we called it the stretch limo. We had a double stroller, and Heidi would take them through South Coast Plaza. And there was one time where a lady stopped and knelt down and cooed over the girls and played with their toes and stuff, and looked up at Heidi and says, "Oh, they're so cute. How often do you watch them?" He said, "Every day. They're mine." So that was a.
And then they thought, what, they were adopted after that?
And well, the girls would tell you they always thought that Heidi was the nanny, anything like that. I always tell my son he was adopted, but they brought him back. So that's something I always tell him.
Well, it's funny, and I know my wife's, I don't know what term to use. Hispanic.
Why do I know this about your wife and you don't?
Well, I've actually been told that's not the right term either. My
we're
wife,
gonna go
wife
with
doesn't
that today.
care.
We're gonna go with that today.
She's a Latina.
Yes.
So she had the same thing. Our 2 younger kids, when they were little, were blonde.
Yes, I remember that.
And my wife, being Hispanic, Tina, she was in a store. I can't remember where she was. It was a dry cleaner or something. And they thought that she was the nanny.
The nanny.
The more and more it seems like people are marrying outside of their race, whatever it is.
Right.
I don't understand why people still come to these conclusions.
I think it's just a natural knee-jerk reaction, because I think we all think we gravitate to those who are like us.
Yeah.
And so when you see a lighter colored mom and darker complected children, you sometimes honestly think like, oh, and especially when we got married so young.
Yeah.
It was like, well, that she's got to be the nanny or something, or the babysitter.
We've been friends forever. You've been married to a white woman. I'm married to a Hispanic woman. Knowing you, I know a lot of your beliefs, and you are the furthest thing from playing the victim card. So in today's culture, where there's a lot of using your race, using whatever identity you pick as being a victim, going against that, I've heard you use the term Uncle Tom, that people call you an Uncle Tom, which, I mean, I can't relate to that. So, I mean, what does that mean, and what does it mean to you?
Uncle Tom, for those of you who haven't read the book, I believe it was published in 1828. It's a great book, but we kind of flipped the narrative and something that I had to learn for myself. And Uncle Tom is basically now viewed as a black person who has gone against their culture, gone against their race, and sided with white America. You've kind of, more or less, you've sold out, and you've joined the other team. Uncle Tom was anything but that. And if you look back and if you read the book, and I believe there's a movie coming out about it really soon that I'm really looking forward to seeing, he was a very dignified, intelligent, upright black person who, and the book was written to tell white America how wrong slavery was, and how Uncle Tom was a guy who stood up against the establishment and stood up against the regime and said this isn't right. But the media got a hold of it. Even back then, they got a hold of it, and they contorted and twisted Uncle Tom into being this sellout and someone who just went against his race and against his regime. And this is something I didn't know if I was going to talk about or not, but I think the biggest problem with black America right now isn't so much being Uncle Tom. It's that, if you're going to put this in the stats, I believe that 75% of black households right now are without a father. Black households are without a father. And if you listen to a lot of statistics, the families who don't have that father in the house, 5% of those kids are more likely to grow up poor, 9% are more likely to drop out of high school, and 20% are more likely to end up in jail. So the problem isn't being a sellout, it's establishing that family unit and being around and things like that.
So do you feel that you're a sellout?
No, not at all. I mean, I think I've been called Uncle Tom once or twice, and the one thing that and the fact you brought that up, my sister gets this too. My sister was she's been in education for 24 years, and people would say to me things like that growing up, almost thinking it was a compliment, but I took offense to it. And my friend Dana, if you're listening, we had this situation a while back. She goes, you don't talk black? I'm like, well, I'm sorry. I know you save all my slang and tap dancing and stuff when I'm in the house by myself. I'm sorry I don't talk black. But I'm like, what does that mean? I mean, I don't use the King's English, but at the same time, I am not a scholar professor either. I mean, but it's almost insulting to say, like, if you articulate and you enunciate, well, now you're not talking black. And yeah, I don't throw, and I'm not being racist or condescending. Yeah, I don't throw yo, yo, yo every time I talk, or I don't talk a lot with my hands and things like that.
I've seen you switch sometimes.
Right.
Do you do that just for fun, or, I mean...
I don't know. Heidi called me on that when I was married.
Yeah.
When she heard me back in the days of landlines. No one uses that anymore. I think I was talking to my roommate Bob from college, and I was hyped and I was animated. And we were talking and stuff, and my voice changed a little bit, and I guess I just been growing up in a culture. I guess I was talking more kid-like, and that's the way we used to talk to each other.
Yeah.
But I guess that can be viewed as talking black. Now, sometimes, like you just said, I will do it for jest,
fun, yeah.
And I'll do it for fun. But that's not. And here's the thing: if that's how you talk,
Right.
That's how you talk.
Right.
That's not how I talk. But I've mimicked voices. Sometimes I talk like you. I talk like a white guy who can be viewed as racist. But
Wow, that's racist.
yeah. What time is our tea time tomorrow, Betty?
So I know in today's world, though, some people might consider that as offensive.
You know what? And here's
Which
the
is
thing.
sad.
And here's the thing. I'm not always looking out to fight for something. And like I said, I'm comedic by nature. I'm always looking for the lighter side of things. But I do have the ability to sort of say, okay, now's the time to be serious.
Yeah.
But I'm not very PC. I'm not.
Yeah.
And I know that offends people. I'm sorry that you're offended. Notice I didn't apologize for doing it. I apologize that you're offended by that I do it. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing it.
Yeah.
But it's like, just don't take yourself so seriously.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, growing up, I was really influenced by the writings and teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. That influenced me a lot. And I think if we look at his words and the man we're here today, I think a lot of things that we deal with, he would look at and be very embarrassed by. That we take things to this level that we shouldn't take it to. And one of my favorite quotes is that, one day I hope my children will grow up and not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream.
And what I said before, when I chose a spouse and when I choose my friends, I'm not concerned about what color you are. I'm more concerned about the content of your character. Who are you as a person? And I think that's what we should be more concerned about. Right?
So he was actually fighting so that everybody was judged by being people, not by people of this, race.
Right. Right.
I mean, they were fighting for civil rights, whereas now it just seems like people are just fighting.
Right. Right. Well, and fabricating fights. It's like every quarter, every month, there's something new to fight for. There's some cause to fight in battle.
But then you see things, and I don't know how you feel about this because it doesn't affect me, but even I think Harvard, where they have now black dorms and black graduations, it seems like we were trying to get away from segregation, and now we're self-segregating.
Right.
How do you kind of...
I just think I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. Like just exactly what you said.
How did it happen?
I can understand some things. Like one of my favorite movies is Remember the Titans. And that was a different thing when there was the black kids and the white kids, and when they got to camp and they had that breakthrough moment, and then because in the beginning the white kids sat at one lunch table and the black kids sat at another lunch table, but when they started to come together, then they separated into, okay, this is the defensive team's table, this is the offensive, and they're still mixed black and white, but we're unified not based on color, we're unified because we're on this team, you're on that team, now we're going to go at it. But anyway, I digress. But I think we need to get back and just, I don't like the fact that there's a black dorm. I remember a good friend of mine, she's married now, Amy Block. Very similar to you. Amy with blonde hair, blue-eyed. She joined the Black Student Union in college. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And why shouldn't she be able to? Because they're saying, okay, we have a Black Student Union and we're going to have black people. So now we're doing, and we talked about this too, because there's no such thing as reverse segregation, and there's no such thing as reverse racism. It's just racism and segregation.
Yeah.
You saying something to me that's offensive, that's racism. But for some reason they worded it like, if I did something to you, well, that's reverse racism, so it's not as bad, because now I'm getting back at you for all the wrong that you've done to me, or your people have done to me over the years.
Hey, remember, Jews are only 2.5% of the population. You're 12.5% of the population.
Yeah, but you're 100% of Hollywood.
You guys
own all of Hollywood. Yeah, I think people's hearts. I also think people's hearts were in the right places, like to have. And I believe in having pride in who you are.
Yeah.
Having pride in your culture, having pride in your race. But how about we all share in it? So if that Asian kid or that Hispanic kid wants to join the Black Student Union, he should be allowed to.
Some would say, well, you're segregating just by having this union.
Right.
And this union.
Back in our early days of starting this out, we did a whole video on cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
And how silly that is.
Yeah, that's... Yeah.
I've dressed up in what did I dress up in? It was the German lederhosen. And let's be honest,
and that's okay. Nobody bats an eye that you did that.
Right.
But if I dressed up in African garb,
right,
it would not be tolerated.
Right.
For better or for worse. Right. That brings us to a subject that we want to bring up because it's timely and it's horrible.
It's fresh, and we try and keep our YouTubes fresh and timely and appropriate. But the whole story about Ahmad Abery, the young black man in Georgia who was gunned down by the two white men, it's a terrible story because someone, like I was telling Brian, this is horrible. Someone has lost a brother, a friend, a cousin, or whatever it is, and that is horrible. And this whole thing about how black lives don't matter is complete falsehood, because black lives do matter. All lives matter. And I know that is a phrase that gets looked down a lot.
It's considered racist now.
It's considered racist. Yeah. It's considered racist. But me, and I'm just going to throw this out here, for those of you who don't know, my faith is very important to me. And being the Christian man that I am, I can't say that that my life is any more important than anybody else's, but I'm not going to put anybody's life above mine either. I think all lives are important. Now, here's the thing. I am glad that thing was videotaped. Why it took so long to come out is beyond me, and I sincerely hope and pray that justice will take its course. And if those men were guilty of gunning that poor man down, and we have an ex-cop and his son, if they want to play the vigilante role, I hope they get whatever's coming to them. But I'm going to let the court system decide that. But those two men are not the ambassadors for the white population. Nor am I the ambassador for the black population. Dr. Martin Luther King was not the ambassador for the black population. You're hearing my viewpoint. So if they did gun that man down in cold blood, and if there's some cover up by his friends who are still on the force to hide that, I hope and pray that the court system does what it's supposed to do and they get what's coming to them. But I can't decide that. Now here's the thing though, that happens though, and that happens like on a Monday or whatever. I can't have an attitude toward Brian now because he's white and says, well, your people, no, it was two idiots. And here's the thing, idiots come in all different races and cultures and sizes. I've been around for a while and I have met idiots from all different, I've done idiotic things. Right? But and I don't want to make light of the situation, but we did want to talk about it because it is timely. It's sad. Am I angry because it's a black male? Yes, but I'm more angry because it's a life that was taken unfairly. If that's what, after the judge and the jury get together and process it, if that's what's found to be true, that's what I am sad about. But I'm not going to go on this rampage that like, those white people, there they go again.
They were two, most likely, and I don't know what's in their hearts, but for what all seems, they were two racists. You know, and even if they weren't, that they were two guys doing a terrible thing. My assumption is that they were racist. But then it turns into a race thing where now it's all white people.
Right.
Are you know, and then it makes society worse when it is what it is. These were horrible, in my opinion, three racist guys. There was actually three people involved.
Right, the guy with the camera.
Yeah, three racist a-holes, and they ended this poor guy's life, and it was a horrible, horrible situation.
Yeah.
We should not make it worse by becoming racially polarized because of it. We should be up in arms, right? Because of what happened with these a-holes.
Yeah, and I got to find it. It's in there somewhere. We're trying to infuse clips and things like that. There was an incident a couple months ago where 4 black kids at a college killed a white guy. You don't know about that because the media suppressed that. Again, a life was taken. We should be up in arms about that. I mean, if we all, it'd be nice if we were all like Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles and we couldn't see color. But you're thinking about, it's like, should that make a difference? We should all be colorblind.
I know. Well, that's exactly what I was taught growing up in the 80s. That's how you get to the point of getting rid of racism. You become colorblind, and you don't see in color. And I thought we were achieving that, but then in the last 20 years, it seems like we become color obsessed.
Right. And it's like we want to touch on that, and hopefully you guys will have some comments about that, if you will. Like I said, at the very beginning, the inception of our little YouTube channel is just 2 guys sharing their opinion.
Yep.
2 guys sharing their opinion. Does that mean we're right? Absolutely not. Does it mean we're wrong? Not necessarily. Just want to end with this, is that if you have some comments, again, put them in the comment section. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you ring the bell, and have some dialogue with the significant other in your house, with your kids, and talk about these things. But me and Brian just wanted to end it with saying that had he not taken that 5 seconds of boldness 20 plus years ago and reached out to me and said, hey, do you need a spot? I would have lost out on one of the most valuable friendships that I have to this day. Now, do we agree on everything? No, we have discussions about stuff. And it's not because I feel a certain way because I'm black and he's white, but we talk to each other like men who have shared similar experiences of being married and raising children and going to work, and how do you balance all that and staying in shape and getting older. And that has nothing to do with the fact that I'm black and he's white. It's the fact that we're both men trying to make it in this world, and we bounce things off each other.
And if you do have biases for anything, for race, religion, gender, you'll miss out on relationships like the relationship we have. If I was prejudiced or he was prejudiced, we wouldn't have had this relationship. So our whole thing about doing this is like, we don't understand, or we hope, like everybody, that it doesn't become about race or gender or religion.
Yeah.
You know, you want to judge somebody by if you have shared interests and shared likes and you do things in common. If you get rid of those distractions and those prejudices, you can lead a much fuller life.
Yeah, I appreciate Brian for what he is. The only thing that I can't say I don't like, I'm not a Rams fan. I'm not a Rams fan. It's just that's one thing that's almost, torn our friendship apart. But
You're not alone. I live in California, and we don't have a lot of fans compared to other states.
But I've learned to overlook it and accept him for what it is, despite that one fault.
I'm going to cut that whole thing out.
No, you're not cutting that out. Well, you are the executive producer based on your culture. Brian Weinstein.
Wow. Oh my goodness. See how he ends there? We had such a beautiful thing going on.
Okay, let's get back
just
to
because I took him to a casting couch before we started all of this, he holds that against me.
Oh my goodness. Okay, no, a serious tip. And please, like Brian said early on, I want to end with this. A lot of you guys know us personally. Try to refrain from putting your comments in our personal Facebook or our personal Instagrams or whatever it is, or texting us personally. We want to see the comments on the YouTube page so this whole community can share in it and respond to it. You got anything else you want to end with there, bud?
No, I think we're good.
All right. Guys, thanks for watching this video. We love you. We appreciate you. And until next time, I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. We'll see you later.
And action.
Hi, I'm Jordan.
I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Colin.
We are siblings. We are twins. That's our younger brother. Our father is Cedric from Cedric and Brian.
Yeah, so our dad is black and our mom is white. So we are going to talk a little bit about racism today. And we are going to answer the question, do we identify with one race more than the other? And if so, why? So Colin, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. I would say that I would identify with black. I don't know if there's really a reason to it or not. Like it's one of those things. I could say white too, but it's either way. I'm both, so both are work for me. But I don't. It's like if you ask someone else what they identify as, like they only have, I guess, one option in that sense. But there's really not a reason for it. So
yeah. Do you think a lot of your friends or people that you meet, they like guess your race right away, and they'll say black first?
I don't get black. I don't know if you guys can tell over video, but my sisters are darker than me, so I get either Mexican,
Yeah.
or Middle Eastern. So that's normally the first ones that go. But after I say black, then they kind of put two and two together. But
yeah, you have that really nice tan going on that everybody wants. I always tell my friends when they see a picture of you the first time, they're like, "Oh, is he Mexican?" And I'll say, "No, he's black and white." And they're, "Wow, he gets tan." And I'm like, "Yeah, we get dark. He gets tan." I don't know. And then, would you say you two identify as black? I would say I identify as black. I think when people initially look at me, they assume that I'm black mixed with something, and white isn't usually the first answer. I don't really know what they think. I just feel like black is always like what they think I'm mixed with.
We get a lot of Ethiopian,
Brazilian, Dominican,
Asian.
a lot of those. I also think too, I don't know if this is wrong to say, but I feel like when taking tests or applying for schools, I was always told to put if two or more races wasn't an option, put that you're black.
Yeah.
I always thought that too when I was doing before going to school for firefighting, the big thing was saying that I was black because you're more likely to get a job being black than you are white, because that's a big thing with saying that. Even Mexican or any other race, but it's good to put that down in some sense.
Yeah. What do you identify as?
Yeah, we talked about this before, and my initial reaction is to say that I identify more as white. So I definitely feel very whitewashed. And I feel like even Colin's reaction is like, yeah.
I think we all are.
We all very, I mean,
grew up in Costa Mesa and Coronas.
yes, but we were born in Costa Mesa, raised in Irvine. My current workplace, I would even say, for the last couple of years, it's private Christian school, and everyone is white there.
I'd agree.
Just always, we went to a private college, all white. Yeah. I feel like just everywhere we've gone, it's mostly white people, and I definitely would not say that we faced a lot of racism, but that's why I would say I identified more as white. Yeah.
If you have the option when you're filling out anything, if there's the option of 2 or more races, do you always pick that, or do you pick?
And I picked black because I was told I would get.
Yeah, I would just pick one because it's either white or African American, and
Yeah.
that's just what I always do.
Yes. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Do you have it?
It is just any stories that you have with experiencing racism as being biracial.
Oh, I think I have 2 stories now. Okay,
you
I'll
get
say
one.
one. Okay, so one that has been engraved in my mind for the longest time happened in 6th grade, and we had to do a family project. So I brought a picture of our family, and I remember a girl specifically came up and said, "Oh, you guys have a nanny." And we both looked at each other like, "What's a nanny?" Like, "Oh, like a live-in babysitter, someone who helps you." And I said, "Who's the nanny?" And they said, "That woman." And she pointed, and it was a picture of mom, or she pointed to mom. And I said, "No, that's my mother." And she goes, "Yes, you call her your mother because she lives with you. She's around you all the time and knows everything about you." And I said, "No, like she's my birth mom. I really don't understand where you're coming from." But she was very adamant that she could not have been our mom because she was very white and we were very dark. And it confused me that her first thought was that she was a nanny and she couldn't be a part of my life in any other aspect than a nanny. So I thought that was strange. I was not offended. I was very confused. I was very confused why she didn't believe it.
Like, we're saying she's our mom.
And she's telling us otherwise.
Yeah, she's our mom. It's that simple. That was confusing. Yeah. We brushed it off though. Just off our shoulders. Do you have a story, Colin?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember this one or not, but forget how old we were. Had to be like, you guys had to have been in college, and I was maybe sophomore year of high school. I can't recall, but when Dad took us down to the beach and we took the train instead of driving, and we went to the beach, having a good day, whatever. Hopped off the train, heading back. We had a train stop in Santa Ana. And it was the 4 of us, double-decker train. We were on the top, and it was just us 4 up there. And white guy comes up, and I'm sitting next to my dad. You guys are I don't know if you guys remember this, but you guys are by yourselves in front of us. And the guy is staring at my dad, and my dad asked him politely, he said, "Is there a problem?" And the guy said, "No, he's like, "The only problem is you." And my dad was like, "What does that mean?" And he's like, "I don't like black people." And was getting really defensive with it and made it seem that him and Dad were going to get into it, like meet me off the train, like me and my crew are going to beat you down. And I would say that was the only one time that I've ever seen it that bad with racism. But people are, I don't know, just there's always going to be people like that aren't all there. But that's the only time I can recall something happening with that.
He just walked.
For me, myself. Huh? What were you saying?
Did he just continue walking?
No, Dad, I feel like handled the situation well and was just like, well, if you have a problem, like we can take it downstairs, but it was more talk, I feel like, than that, but that was what I experienced. But I feel like now during our generation, you rarely see it. It's still out there, but I've never experienced it myself where someone's been racist towards me.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know if that helps more helps me, I guess, in some sense, because I don't look like I'm black. So people can't really come off like right away knowing that I am. So,
mm-hmm.
But
I think I don't want to speak for all of us. I do think that we grew up with a really good community around us, with our parents, friends, and church and the activities that we were involved in. And I feel like we sort of grew up around that, and people just knew who we all were and who our parents were. And so we didn't face a lot of judgment. That's how I feel about it. So I feel like we were raised with good people around us. I would say growing up, I remember, I feel like I was very naive too. Like, if anything was racist, like, around us, I didn't understand it. The only thing I would say is I would remember when we were younger, and it would only be with me and Jasmine, and we would go grocery shopping with mom, and mom would be in front of us in the line, and she would be paying or something, and we would just be standing there behind her, and either the person in line behind us or the cashier would be like, "Hey, sweeties, do you need help? Like, where's your mom?" And I would just like look at them and be like, "My mom's right there. She's in front of us. She's paying for the groceries." And they would be like, "Oh." And they wouldn't say anything after because they didn't know what to say. They were probably embarrassed or confused. And I think me just being little, I was like, "Yeah, that's my mom. I'm with her." But I don't think it clicked to me that our skin colors are very different. So people don't put us together right away. We don't get that anymore, right? Like, if we're...
That's what I feel like it's more common now than it was. It's just gotten more with people being biracial, so.
Yeah. So, a situation that came to mind was in high school. There was that riot. Yeah.
Oh, this is good.
Is that correct? A riot? It was... No, well, nothing happened, though. It was... I don't even know if you know about this one. Yeah. But it was definitely our junior year. It was either like our sophomore or junior year. And there was a huge... I'm going to have to edit this part for sure. What do you call it? Like a rivalry. Rivalry? Like gangs, pretty much. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, here we go. So there was a rivalry between two races. Is it proper to say Mexican or Hispanic? Hispanics and African Americans. Yeah, definitely. It was huge. It blew up so fast. We went to a massive high school, over 4,000 students. And it had to start with a group of students, but it just expanded massively and quickly. And there was one time during lunch, when everyone was let out, and one side of the campus was lined with Hispanics and the other side was lined with Blacks, and we just had cops right in the middle, like ready to do anything if someone were to take a step forward or take action. And I remember that I had no fear at all because I didn't see myself as being one of those sides. And I remember mom was like, are you scared? A lot of parents were pulling their students out of school during that time in case anything did happen. And I was like, I am free to roam around however I want because no one is going to see me as a threat. And it's because like I didn't see myself as Black. Like, I don't know. It was really weird. And then I remember one of our track friends, he like shoved me into a bush because he's like, "You can't be out here because you're Black." And I was like, "I'm not a threat. I'm not Black." But he was very Black. Yeah. Yes. I also think, I remember that. Yeah. I think I was thinking more of, well, I don't know who any of these people are. I'm not part of the gang. Yeah, we weren't associated with any of those people. I don't want to fight. I don't want to get in trouble. I just want to go into class and take my test. I think I was worried about like taking a test one day. I was like, I just want to take a test. And I think my mom was like trying to explain to us, it doesn't matter what you think. If someone else were to think, there's other people that are going to perceive you, as a certain way because we are Black. And I think that whole week we got pulled out of school early because we were like, "No, Mom, we feel safe. Yeah. We're walking around. We have each other. We're next to each other because we can protect each other." Yeah. Okay. And I remember that. That was crazy. And I don't know if anything serious happened. Yeah, just that a lot of security, a lot of anxiety amongst the school, but Drew and I were just walking around like because we weren't worried at all. I remember. So, yeah.
And then we have one more, right?
Colin, do you want to tell your story about track? That's not a. I think it's hilarious though. It's not about race.
Yeah.
I think it's.
It's just me not knowing. I guess me not being smart of just the way I thought of it as, but me growing up as a kid, I used to thought there with running, I could run fast or slow because we've seen with sports and stuff, not saying, but black people majority of the time are faster than
When you
white.
see a lot of the sprinters in the Olympics for the U.S., they're sprinters in the Olympics for any country. I'd say they're black. Yeah.
Well, yeah, just any country. You look at the world records, marathon is,
Yep.
I believe.
You might be, yeah.
For males, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but even feel like it's just, or like that's just how I saw it as, but
Yes.
I wouldn't call that as being.
Our brother thought there was like an on and off switch for him. Yeah.
I could run fast or so because I had the option.
Yeah.
That was black and white.
Yeah. That'd be cool though, if you could. It's almost like our own little superpower. Yeah.
Good thing of it like that. Only I thought of it like that. Thought of it like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so the last thing I think are just final thoughts on racism. I know my final thought, what I would just like to say is that I am not as educated in racism, as meaning how much is going on around the world. I feel like in a way we were sheltered. Like you were saying, we were surrounded by very loving, caring people, so we never experienced it. I know that it does happen. We've seen it in our high school. But I would say that I'm fortunate not to have experienced it in such a negative way. Anyone else have final thoughts? I'm trying to put my thoughts together.
Well, it's like what I said earlier, that it's always going to be there. Like, I don't ever believe that there will be a day where someone is not racist. And it has to do a big thing with parenting too, because nobody is born racist. It's how they're raised. And the problem with some people out there, they raise their kids, they already have those thoughts in their head, so they're going to teach their kids that. And then as their kids grow up, which they can always, when they grow up, see that that's not true and think for themselves. So the majority of the time that they're going to have the same thoughts as their parents did and not go away from that. But that's what it's more, it's more out there because it is talked about like a lot more than what it was back then. And it's just something that will always be there and we have to deal with.
Any kind of thoughts? I'm just saying, I wish it could just be as easy as everyone getting to know someone and get to like know their heart rather than based on what they look from the outside. It sounds simple, but
You mean judge on the content of their character rather than the color of their skin?
snap.
Yeah.
Someone wise said that. Wow.
Maybe we should listen to this.
Yeah. That was good. Yeah.
I think we covered it.
That's good. We've never really talked about this before together.
Hope we did a good job doing it.